Jared.
Good morning.
Good morning. Tough Saturday for your team at UNH. Always a tough place to play. You come up a little short, 24-6. As you've gone back and looked at some tape on that game, just give me your impressions on it.
Yeah, I mean, New Hampshire, great program. Ricky does a good job, keeping that culture alive and thriving over there. Unfortunately, we went into the game down a couple guys, not going to make an excuse. Guys got to step up into roles and perform. We elected to defer to the second half and, got UNH to a third and forever and gave them a 13, 14-yard off script play. They converted the fourth down and turned it into a 70-yard scoring drive, taking about 6-7 minutes off the clock. And that seemed to be the theme of the day for them on their scoring drives. They were all over 75 yards. They had two over 90. We could not get off the field on defense. And then, offensively, we sputtered. First half, only ran 14 plays. First third down of the first half, we throw a slant ball to one of our veteran wide receivers, and he drops it. And that kind of was the theme of the day for our offense. In moments to make plays, we didn't make them. We dropped passes. We missed a couple shot plays that probably would have made a difference. And, I thought we played admirably on special teams. Flipped the field a couple times, pinned them deep, and, couldn't come away with that one. So got to play more consistent for sure.
Question for you from Mark. Good morning, Mark.
Good morning. Hey, Jared, any update on Ron Holmes or any of the other injured guys from Saturday?
Have not gotten the results back on Ron yet. We did get results back on Abe Sanogo. He will be out for the year. And other than that, nothing with Ron or Jack yet.
What was Sanogo's injury, Jared?
He had a lingering shoulder issue that he bypassed operation on in December and decided to do it now.
Hopefully the news is good on Ron, but just to lose him and Sanogo, just defensively, how do you kind of deal with two big losses, at least temporarily two big losses like that?
Yeah, like I said, it's part of the game, and next guy's got to step up. We feel good about our other linebackers, and we've been developing multiple defensive ends as we've gone. Eric Dukes is starting to play really well. Marcus Garrett's a young talent, and Matt Obiaga has been playing well. So, those guys will fill in for Abe. But with Ron, Dylan Donathan, Troy Burschwinger, they've played a lot of snaps. So, they're going to have to step in and fill that void, and we got the utmost faith in them.
With Jack, I know you're waiting on him, but are you optimistic he'll return to practice this week, Jared?
I'm optimistic. I mean, at this stage of the season, I got to remain optimistic. But yeah, I'm optimistic. But I thought Colin in his two games he's played has done well. There's some things he missed on Saturday. He's still beating himself up about, but I feel good about Colin as well.
If I can ask you about Stony Brook quickly, a returning player coming back, Marquise Dietz. Whatever film you've seen of him, how does he seem to be playing for them, Jared?
Good. Dietz he's a great player. We loved our time here. Kind of, he felt like it was his time to make a move and wound up at Stony, which is fine. Marquise and I have a long, great relationship and hopefully continue to have that. But he's playing the exact way that he played for us. He's a gritty, technical wide receiver that makes contested catches, and he's really, really tough. So nothing's changed with Marquise.
It seemed like he went into the portal right around the time Greg left. Was there any cause and effect there, or he just decided he wanted to move on?
I think Marquise made the decision to go in the portal at the end of the fall and just didn't act upon it until spring. When he met with me, he's like, Coach, I had already kind of decided this, and we figured as much, which is fine. This is the day and world that we live in college football. So he got in the portal to come here, and now he got in the portal again to go there.
Thanks for the time.
Yeah, anytime.
Jared, you mentioned the start, the 75-yard drive, and I think New Hampshire had the ball for maybe 21 minutes or something in the first half. When you're on the road and a tough place to play, how tough is that to sort of overcome?
It's a lot, and a lot of coaches will tell you since they made the timing rule changes, a couple years back, where the clock's going to continue to run unless you're inside of 2 minutes. It's really shrunk the game down and, has made possessions more vital. So every time that, everybody gets to extend a drive, it just limits the ability for the other offense to be potent. And, but still, nonetheless, like life in football is not about what happens to you. It's how you respond to it. And if you give up a 75-yard play drive that takes time off the clock, you got to come back the next drive and try and get off the field. And good teams are resilient to those things, and we got to be better at it.
You mentioned to Mark, Colin Parachek throws for 181 yards and a touchdown, gave you 33 on the ground in his first start. You mentioned he felt like he missed some things, but just from your analysis after looking at the tape, how did you think that he held up?
I thought he held up well. Every time that you get a non-starting quarterback in their first start for your team, the guys around him have to step up. And I thought Colin, he's a very smart guy, has a great temperament, very positive, leads well, and he did all those things. Your leadership's only as good as the people willing to follow, and guys have to step up around him to help out his play. And there's too many moments in which we did not make plays with guys that we've counted on in this season and seasons past. And I'm sure they'll play better this week.
And just one more on the offense. You've touched on all the injuries, but JoJo went down early. I think only carried once in the game. What's his status, and how much does that affect your running game?
Oh, JoJo's a great player, so it's going to have effect. I think he'll be available. JoJo got shoved in the back on a touchdown play that we committed a penalty, and it got called back. So it was a freak thing. He was going to celebrate with his teammate in the end zone, but I think JoJo will be just fine.
All right. Defensively, your team, even though they were on the field a long time, you held UNH to 308 yards, able to get 3 sacks in the game. How did you feel like they held up?
Yeah, I felt they held up well. Unfortunately, like you say, bend but don't break, but we just kept bending. And at some point we have to break the offense. And there was just a couple moments where situations we lacked the discipline and focus we needed for the situation, and it usually resulted in UNH's quarterback getting off script and making a great play. And he's a good young player. Said it last week. He's going to continue to grow. But they played. I got to give a lot of credit to our locker room. Every game we've played in, we've played a full 60 minutes or battled for a full 60 minutes, and I think they'll continue to do that. It's kind of in our DNA. So.
You touched on Stony Brook. You got them at home on Saturday. Certainly offensively, Roland Dempster, everybody is aware of. What makes him so tough to stop?
I mean, between the O-line, and the quarterback they've settled on, they run the damn ball so hard. And he's a load as it is. He's a really good back. He's got, a lot of snaps on him in his career, and he's got a lot of good carries. So you obviously have to make sure you manage and maintain what he can do and try to limit it. But they're going to run the ball downhill on you. They're going to formation the hell out of you, motion, shift, all that stuff. And they do a good job.
You mentioned the quarterback running too, Chris Ellis, who came over from Hampton, gives them, he ran for over 100 yards last week and gives them a run pass threat. You've seen those in Vez and some others. How is he maybe different than those guys?
I think he's more of a linear guy. When he gets his shoulders downhill because he's large, and he can take in, seems like 10 yards in half a stride. I mean, he's a huge dude. So just a little bit different in his, I'm not going to say he doesn't have any shake in his run game, but he's dangerous as hell when he gets his shoulders downhill and he's running straight lines.
Trophy on the line, battle for Golden Apple. I know when I talked to Coach Gattuso over the years, he said he was kind of unsure about the whole trophy game and what that would mean, but really thought it had grown in stature over the years, and you've been around it now for a few years. What makes that rivalry kind of neat and being able to play for a trophy like that?
Oh, we face Stony Brook in a lot of sports, in many of our different conferences that we have here at Albany. It's a big deal to every team here. And they've been battling for a long time. Talked to Coach Ford about some of the matchups he had against them in big games. And, it's part of what makes college football special. When you get to play a game with your trophies on the line, it's the pageantry that probably a lot of us got into college football loving, as players and coaches and fans of it. So anytime you get a moment like this where, there's a trophy at the end of a game, whether it be a championship or a rivalry game, it's special. And being able to bring it home is something that we talk about annually.
All right, Jared, thanks so much for the time today. And